What's going on, and welcome to your casual gaming news conversation for this week. I'm Nick, that's Connor, and this is your weekly gaming news podcast from Co-op64. Connor, it's Friday. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Enjoying the nice weather. It's like 80 degrees here in Ohio today. It's hot for sure, but I'm enjoying it for now.
Yeah.
Talk to me in a couple months when it's 80, 90 every single day and I'm sweating my balls off and I'm just uncomfortably hot all the time and the AC can't keep up. Then I'll be begging for winter once again. But coming off of a pretty brutal winter,
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it for now.
I'm not enjoying it already. I like the idea of going golfing. I like the idea of the pool weather, and it's starting to heat up a little bit. But right now, we talk about this apartment all the time. I love this apartment. I love living where I live. It's too hot in here. We have two people in here only, and we got the light set up, and immediately I'm like, I need two waters. I'm gonna sweat through my shirt during this podcast. The fun part of podding for the next 3 months will be I'm only wearing black shirts. Otherwise, there will be stains on my shirt from the sweat. It is too goddamn hot here. Other than that, how's the marathon grind treating you? You sent me a fun text last night, very late last night.
Yeah, hit level 100. Had some successful cryo archive runs last night with some randoms. Nobody was able to queue up, so I just hopped into Trio Fill in cryo, which is rolling the dice.
Yep.
The first time I did it, one of the people DC'd immediately.
Oh, no.
And was like, hey, my PC crashed, and if I try to continue on, it's going to try to push this update, and I'm going to need to just rip it anyway. So let me just reset my PC, do the update, and then we'll get back to it. 15 minutes later, he comes back. The match is 30 minutes. And they're like, let's do a key room. And I'm like, we don't have the time for that.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. And luckily, we just got wiped immediately anyways after he spawned back in, because I was like, just get me out. I don't want to do this. But the next run, we took 2 teams out. I got a gold gun. I got a bunch of purple shields. I got a few other weapons. I came out in riches, dude. My vault right now stacked up with some good goop. And my currency, my wallet, is the highest it's ever been. So I'm feeling good. Hit level 100. Got the platinum trophy by buying the game a second time on PS5 and syncing my save over. I want that platinum just as a badge of honor and a monument to my love for Marathon. But I didn't stay up too late last night. I had that last run with the randoms, and I was like, I'm going out on top. I'm going to bed. Which, to be fair, too late would be like 1 a.m.
Okay.
I went to bed at midnight. So.
Okay. I will say that is a game changer level of sleep.
Yeah.
Like for me, when I go to bed past 1 a.m. 1 a.m. is the do or die time for me now. If I see like because I wake up every morning at 8:16, as we all know, that is when my alarm clock goes off. If it is the second I get to the 1 a.m., it's like I'm getting only 7-ish hours of sleep, sometimes less. If I get over and if it's midnight, I'm getting like 7:15 plus, dude. So like that extra 7 hours and change, I'm good to go. I can stay up till 4 in the morning the next night and be totally fine.
Sleep is weird though, man. Like I was feeling a little bit tired on Tuesday and Wednesday night, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna hit the hay early. Went to bed at like 10:30, 11. Felt worse both of those following days by going to sleep early. Stay up a little bit later last night. Feel way better today. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. I don't know how that works, but sleep is weird.
For me, life is good right now. Most expensive concert ticket I've ever purchased in my life happened this past Wednesday. Or Strokes tickets for a single ticket.
Yeah.
Strokes tickets went up. Connor was very wishy-washy on whether he wanted to go to the show.
It's the venue. Riverbend sucks.
Yeah. But if you're in the pit in these pavilions,
the pit's really small though.
Yeah, I know, but it's still. I kind of like that it's small because then you are freaking in there.
I saw Paramore in the pit there in high school.
Was it good?
It was great.
Yeah. So I go and I dial in. I have my laptop open. I'm in an airport. I have my laptop open. I have my phone open. Phone has Cincinnati's up. The laptop has Indianapolis, or not Indianapolis. Like it's somewhere in Indy. Tickets up, and I'm like, great. Let's figure this out. I get into the Cincinnati one, no tickets available. And the only thing that was available for this pre-sale was VIP tickets, $400-something each, 4 pit tickets. Thought about it. I literally was like, I'm going to the show one way.
It's just money.
Yeah, it comes and goes. But that would be exponentially the most I've ever spent on a concert ticket. It wouldn't be close. And then the show in Indy opens up, and there are pit tickets for right around $169. And I'm like, okay, with fees, we're gonna definitely be pushing $200. Text my buddy Sam, he doesn't answer. And he just texted me back. I'm like, because I told him, he was like, how much do you think tickets are going to be? I go, about 150 probably, which 169, like we're talking in that range. But by the time you do fees and everything, we're talking $200. So I was like, are you good for 207? And he's just like, like I'm waiting to get that response. I go, screw it. If he doesn't come with me, I'll either sell it or get somebody else to come with me. Swipe the card. And then I'm just like in this airport and I'm just like, holy shit. One, just spent more money than I've ever spent in my entire life on concert tickets. Two, I'm stroking it 3 times this year, dude. 3 Strokes sets, and then the rest of my day I was just listening to the Strokes as much as I could.
How much I've spent on a single concert ticket?
Yeah,
200 is
nothing. It's not, well, because the other part of this is the math I've done this year, which is the Bonnaroo ticket I have is ridiculous. It's a very expensive ticket, and I'm getting it for free. But if I were to just buy a Bonnaroo ticket, that's like $500, $600 when it's all said and done. Okay, well, great. Let's not worry about that. That's $600 now in my pocket spent on concerts. And then Shaky Knees, there's another $400 that I would spend on. That's now free also for me. So I have $1,000 to play around with.
For Shaky Knees, I thought about just going to 2 days and saving a little bit of money, getting a rest day in there because I'm old man Connor. It's going to be a lot standing and jumping around at a festival for 3 days straight. But I checked the 2-day prices and it's like $10
it is.
less. It's like, well, okay, well,
you're not saving money.
Yeah.
What do you just skip Saturday? Is that the mindset there? You skip seeing bands like 21 Pilots and Pavement and Jimmy Eat World.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some good acts on Saturday, but it's definitely the weakest day for me.
Friday and Sunday for sure.
Friday and Sundays.
I mean, I'm going for Geese at the end of the day. If Geese was not on the lineup, I would not be going.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a great lineup outside of that, but yeah.
Yeah, they're seeing some of the stuff from Coachella with them. It's been unbelievable. I can't wait to go and see them. But yeah,
I wonder if they play Baby for us.
Dude,
Justin Bieber.
Probably not. They'll probably. Can we get potentially a 21 Pilots cover from Geese? Like what act? Cause the main thing is they were playing before the Biebs on that day, right? So that Friday, maybe we get a Stroke song. Maybe we get Last Night by Geese.
The thing is, they had released the Baby cover years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe we do get Baby by Geese.
It's just serendipitous that he was the headliner.
Oh, that's awesome. Are you gonna stay up and watch any of these concert sets this weekend?
No, I'm not big into that. That's your thing. I like to go into shows without spoilers, and if I even have the potential to see some of these bands, I don't want to see a video feed of their live set. But 9 Inch Nails obviously crushing it as 9 Inch Noise at Coachella. They announced that they were doing an album with 9 Inch Noise. Unfortunately, it's just the live remixes that they've been doing throughout the last tour and at Coachella. So it's not what I thought it was going to be. So I'm a bit disappointed. They are good mixes, and seeing those songs live with the little tweaks that they made, it was incredible. And it's good to have them in like a actual like official recording capacity. But I'm a bit bummed. I'm not gonna lie.
I saw that news and I immediately was like, I don't want to bring it up around Connor. He's gonna be bummed. I will be up late tomorrow night watching the Strokes again. I'm gonna have a great time because tomorrow is such a fun one.
The Strokes, top 5 greatest band of all time, according to Nick.
No. Somebody said that I said it's my top favorite. They were like the greatest band of all time, and then in the chat I said that's incorrect, and you said LCD's your 1, the Strokes are your 2. I said those are my favorite bands of all time. Mm-hmm. There is a large difference. I wouldn't say the Strokes. I can make an argument for top 30, like number 30. Like I can get there because the importance of them producing rock music in the early 2000s is one of the most important stretches of music that we've had ever. With that being said,
they're just a bit inconsistent.
Oh, for sure. They're not in the ungodly tier of like Zeppelin, Radiohead, Pink Floyd, Beatles. Like they're not there. Mm-hmm. But the second that you start getting down from some of those people, it is like, okay, like who influenced music the way that they did? Who's got a couple of albums that are all-time albums? And like who's the better band, them or Arcade Fire? Arcade Fire has 2 all-time albums. I would say that the Strokes have 2 all-time albums.
The Strokes are better.
I think so too.
Arcade Fire, especially with Arcade Fire's recent output. Yeah, it's terrible.
Hey, We's a good record. I will stick with that.
Some good songs on it for sure.
We had no right to be as good as it is. They showed that they have a little bit of gas left in the tank, and then they used all of it for it because that next record was ass. You want to know what's not ass though, Connor? Housekeeping. Patreon.com/Co-op64. You can get this show 3 days early. You can get the casual gaming conversation 3 days early. Connor and I got a fun casual gaming conversation back to back episodes doing Mount Rushmores for video game genres. We have 16 genres?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So we're going to do 2 episodes. The reason is we have the subathon coming up. We'll hop into what that means. So we have to pre-shoot that. It's going to be a lot of fun though. You're going to get both those episodes 3 days early. And you also get a bonus episode of the Casual Gaming Conversation each and every week. I just did a Q&A. A lot of fun. Connor, it was exactly 1 hour of questions with Nick Evans. It was a great time. If you want to hear me talk about life, Co-op 64, and games, go and check that out. The next highest tier, you get Recollection Retro, Connor's Retro Collecting Show. I think it's gonna be the PAX East episode. Cool.
Yeah.
Where Connor's the next episode this upcoming week will be his PAX East Hall. You have the Co-op 64 podcast where we discussed our sister's wedding in great detail. We talked about hats, golf, and pizza toppings. And it was a great episode. It's like 2 hours. I keep on saying it might be one of the most underrated things we do at Co-op 64 is the Co-op 64 podcast. Check those episodes out; they're a lot of fun. And you also get the chance to write into this show and the Casual Gaming Conversation. We pull write-ins for each of these episodes, and they're a lot of fun having you guys be part of the episode. At the $25 tier, you get your name right at the end of each and every podcast we do here, and you get to be potentially the 4th topic on the Co-op 64 podcast. Shout out to Big Mac for hats as that bonus topic. It was a lot of fun over there. Twitch streams, we're back to the normal-ish schedule. If you're watching this on Patreon, we got a marathon stream tomorrow. We'll be streaming for like 12 hours, playing through Hotline Miami, Portal, and Titanfall 2. But if you are listening to this on Monday, don't fret. The weekend streaming fun is still going to happen, but we have a full fun week of streaming first. On Monday, get back to Left 4 Dead 2. So much fun.
So fun.
So much fun.
I have a newfound respect for Left 4 Dead. I thought it was just going to be an arcadey, mindless shooter, but there's a decent amount of depth there.
I have a new respect for Valve.
Yeah.
Like, they're so good. So shout out to that. Tuesdays and Thursdays, continuing on with the Outer Wilds. I'm progressing. Knowledge is power, Connor, and I'm gaining knowledge, but slowly and surely, for sure. And then Wednesday, Connor will be beating Resident Evil 3, potentially. We're not going to force it.
It really depends on if I get stuck at certain points. I spent an hour on one Nemesis fight last stream, so
yeah,
if that happens again, I don't think so, but
and then the big one, April 24th, our one subathon this year is this upcoming weekend. It is Breath of the Wild. It is me, Connor, and Brady for this subathon. We are going to be playing the game the entire time. That we're not going to. There's going to be somebody on that godforsaken couch at the wee hours of the night playing this game. And because Connor is now the marathon man, we're putting him on all the late night sets.
I can only stay up that late if I'm playing marathon.
Connor,
it doesn't apply to other games.
What if we do like the Subway Surfers thing where like we have like Breath of the Wild gameplay and then like beneath it marathon gameplay and then to the left Subway Surfers?
It doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. I got to be on the sticks.
Okay.
I got to be clicking heads.
But no, we're going to have a great time. Most likely I'll be hosting those late night sessions. But that will start up, I want to say, at 10 a.m. on Friday. We'll have the official schedule go out, but it will start on Friday morning at some point. Get excited about that. It's going to be unbelievable. Discord, join the Discord. Over 3,000 members talking about games, playing marathon with Connor, doing community nights. We had a great community night recently.
Next one, Super Battle Golf. Locking it in.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's $8. So I feel like this is one of the first times we are playing something that's not on Game Pass or... Well, I guess we did Battlefield 6.
Yeah,
so if you don't have it, $8 to get in to play that game. And obviously you can play it after the community night, of course. But hopefully you join us. That'll be towards the end of April, though.
No, that's going to be in May.
Oh, May.
Yeah, we already did the one for April.
Interesting. Yeah, we did at the start of the month, which...
We
don't
do.
I thought that was at the end of March.
Yeah, it'll probably be early May though, just because May towards the end of it gets pretty nuts with Memorial Day and heading into SGF season and all the double shoots that we have to do there. But get excited about that. The Discord also hop in, talk about WrestleMania, talk about music. A lot of fun albums are coming out this summer. It's gonna be a lot of fun over there. Merch, co64store.com. You can get t-shirts, hoodies, mugs. Review us over on Apple Podcasts. It gets the show out to more people. And drop it in the comment section below if we mess something up on this episode, so we can set the record straight on the next episode. Connor, are you ready to hop in?
Let's do it.
Headline: Xbox CEO says Game Pass is, quote, too expensive, end quote, in leaked memo. This is Patricia Hernandez at Polygon. Quote, with expensive hardware and constant price increases, some analysts argue that video games are becoming a luxury for the affluent. And when a PlayStation 5 Pro costs more than $900 after taxes, the contentious idea is difficult to argue against. Recent rumblings from the video game industry, however, are indicating the publishers know that consumers are being pushed to their financial limit. Something has to give, and it seems that newly appointed Xbox CEO Asha Sharma knows it. The Verge reports that a leaked memo penned by Sharma featured the executive pontificating on the value that Xbox brings to its fans. Game Pass, the subscription service that controversially increased price 2 years in a row, is central to that value, Sharma argued. Microsoft has yet to find a balance when it comes to the pricing, Sharma wrote. Quote, short-term Game Pass has become too expensive for players, so we need a better value equation, end quote, Sharma said. Quote, long-term, we will evolve Game Pass into a more flexible system, which will take time to test and learn around, end quote. Connor, how are they going to make Game Pass less expensive if they are able to pull this off? What's the Connor Evans big brain? Let's find a way to plummet the price of Game Pass. Because I would want to start out the question being like, does Game Pass need to be cheaper? It's obvious when the fucking CEO is saying it. So do you have any lofty ideas on this news on how you want to handle this?
Just to set the stage here, I want to go back to the start of Game Pass and why it exists in the first place. In that Xbox was behind the 8 ball. They needed to do something to stay relevant. Game Pass swooped in, kind of did that for them, and gave them a value proposition to sell to gamers that you can play all these games for a set subscription fee, and you can play first-party stuff on this. You can play indies. You can play third-party games as well. And it was the best value in gaming for a very long time and kept them afloat in a very dire time. So I understand why Game Pass exists, but it kind of ended up backfiring on them because now nobody buys full-price games on Xbox. And that's been, and I'm not saying nobody. There are, I'm sure, like
4 people out there.
Yeah, hardcore Xbox fans who buy physical still. But I'm saying, like, broadly speaking, Game Pass has destroyed the full-priced game model on Xbox. Why would you play it if it's not on Game Pass? If it is on Game Pass, why would you buy it for full price? Why would you not just get the subscription for a month and then cancel it after that? And they're kind of banking on the idea that you're going to just forget about it and let that subscription lapse month over month. And now I just feel like they need to pull back and readjust what Game Pass is and reframe that to the gamer with these price increases, that it's still of value, and while not shooting themselves in the foot by removing the need to buy full price games on their platform. So I think they can learn something from PlayStation, and they need to go with the tiered approach. I think they can still have a $30 tier potentially.
Interesting.
It just needs all the bells and whistles. So this is how I would break it down. I would do $10 a month, third party, indies, some of the back catalog for first party maybe, but very few recent first party Xbox games at this $10 tier. Then 15, maybe 20, you go with first party games maybe a year later. I don't think you do it day and date.
Interesting.
I think you still need to be selling these first party games on day of release at $60, $70, potentially $80 to make the money back on the development costs. Like, you need to reassert the need for gamers to buy games and own them. That is the bread and butter for PlayStation. That is why they have their first party studios, and it's to sell consoles, but also to sell this first party software and get a 100% rip on these sales. Then at the highest tier, I think you do exactly what PlayStation does and do first party, maybe day and date at this highest tier for like $30. First party games, you do indies, third party, and you do classics. You do Xbox original games, you do Xbox 360 games, and then you also have like the Fortnite stuff and the Valorant stuff and the Ubisoft and EA.
League of Legends.
All those like partnerships at this highest tier. Maybe you sprinkle those in throughout the different tiers as well. Like, this one gets you maybe a couple of those, this one gets you more, and so on and so forth. And I think that it allows them to still have an option for their hardcore base that wants to play these first-party games day and date and doesn't want to pay full price for them. But I think a lot of people will just opt to buy the one game every 6 months, which is what most people normally do. The average gamer is buying Ghost of Yotei and playing it for 6 months. They're not doing what we do and no-lifing these games and blazing through them.
Playing 60 games a year.
So it's becoming tough to convince people that $30 is worth it, because then you end up waiting, you end up letting it lapse once, and like just on accident, and then you're paying basically full price for a game that you could have just bought and actually owned.
Yep.
So they need to just make these adjustments, or they need to do away with first party in Game Pass entirely.
Yeah.
And I think that would be smart. There is a news story that came out today that I think they were talking about on Kind of Funny Games Daily, that Asha Sharma said that they are thinking about having a tier just for first party games.
I want to hop in at this point, because I like this pitch. I do. I think the big issue with Game Pass more than anything else is how convoluted it currently is. That like I don't know if we could tell you everything that is part of each tier in Game Pass and how much each of them cost. If I were to pitch it, I would say $30 too much. Maybe you can pull off an ultimate tier. The reason that they won't do away with Game Pass is because that cash flow is too good right now.
The problem is that it needs to be a part of their business. It can't be their entire business. And I think the raise to $30 indicates to me that they're really banking on that making up the ground they've lost in other areas.
Well, I think that they need to go and, like you said, make it part of their business, but the other part of the business needs to be selling boxes, selling first-party games.
Yeah.
And I think the best way to do this is legitimately, you kind of nailed it with the first two tiers. I think you have a $10 tier that is the indie and second-party catalog, and then I think that you have a $20 tier that is a larger game catalog. I think that you literally make Xbox Plus, do Essential, do Extra, do Premium, and get your first party games out of there. Like, because right now, you talk about the 100% rip. They need 100% rip on Call of Duty. That game, they need to sell for $70, and that's why the discussion right now is like, do we pull Call of Duty out? Do we keep it in?
They definitely should pull it out. I know it's not consumer friendly, but business wise, I think it was stupid to put it in there in the first place. But they were hoping that it would skyrocket subscriber numbers for Game Pass, and it barely moved the needle. And
so at that point, you're just losing. Like, you're just losing on the people that have Game Pass, but then also buy Call of Duty.
And also, Call of Duty's kind of waning.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Right when we count Call of Duty out, they punch back. They know what they're doing over there. I'm very, very curious. Sign Jason Blundell. Anyways, so going and doing something like that, I think will work. I think that if you go and say, we're not doing any first-party games, just in general, day and date, maybe they, like you said, come a year or two later. But that's what PlayStation Plus Extra already does, where it is, Horizon Remastered or whatever is supposedly coming this month, right, for PlayStation Plus Extra. That game came out like a year and a half ago. Great. Nobody that owns Horizon is upset that it's coming to this subscription a year and a half later. And all the people that now have that subscription are like, cool, I might hop into Horizon. And then you go and potentially get to buy the next one because you're now a fan of the franchise, or you pick up Forbidden West for full price and
or
do it that way.
New people in who want to play Horizon Remaster.
And so you also need to work your IP. I like the history lesson aspect that you brought up with this. I think the most important part of the history lesson about the keeping it afloat was they did not have first party games. Like, the first party games of like 2020 like was not good. Like, I can't tell you a first party Xbox game from 2020 because no one was playing first party Xbox games in 2020 because there really just wasn't any gas when it came to that storefront. 2021 is where the conversation, in my opinion, really begins, where it is, okay, we're getting Forza, we're getting Halo Infinite, but like this generation really was always like, what do we do with Game Pass? Is it really worth it? And the answer, I think, time and time again, has just been no, it's not worth it. Will people be upset? Yes. Are people already upset? Absolutely. Like, right now, they're on such a trajectory, a torpedo spin. I'm just imagining the sick ass scene from Top Gun Maverick, where it's not Goose. What's Goose's son's name in this movie? Rooster. Thank you so much. It's Rooster and Maverick doing the death spiral, and they're just going down. Like, that's what's happening with Xbox right now. Like, they're already in the death spiral. So might as well go and find a way to pull the plane up and get the hell out of there. And right now, step one, it is Game Pass and the clarity of the messaging of Game Pass. Let's go and fast forward 2 months. We are 2 months away from the biggest day in Xbox history, dude. I am becoming more and more convinced that Asha Sharma is entering this building and they have a clear mind. They have a clear vision of what is wrong with this company at this point. And they're literally just being like, so this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work. And they're like, we are not doing any of this anymore. Like, they need somebody to go and like take the whiteboard and be like the giant freaking, this is what we want Xbox to be in 2020, and be like, we're doing none of that, dude. Like, I'm in the boat. Ready for this one? Forza, I know it's gonna sell a shit ton on PS5. Sorry, we're not doing it anymore. We're not doing a PS5 port. Fable, that was day and date. Fuck that. I'm
The
done.
problem is that is it going to sell Xbox Series X's? I don't think so. Not at $600, $700.
Yeah, well, everything's $600, $700 now. Like, so you just need to make the right value proposition, which is the value proposition for these games, in my opinion, are make them full price. The other part is, sure, are they going to sell Xbox Series X's? No, but on the Xbox storefront on fucking PC, they need to somebody not to go to their cart and say, I'm gonna do a monthly Game Pass instead of picking up Fable for full price. They need to pick up Fable for full price. They need to find ways immediately to start steering the Titanic and being like, hey, we're not doing X, Y, or Z. Sorry, but this is what we have to do. Do it before the Xbox showcase, by the way. Do it like 2 weeks before. Eat the shit 2 weeks before and then show like 15 of the best games, close out with Elder Scrolls 6, and immediately everyone just goes, oh fuck, Xbox is back, dude. Like, because that's the way that marketing works. Go do something like that. Start steering the ship a little bit before this showcase and say we're not going to go and have these games be part of Game Pass anymore.
Yeah, and I think that people would be very receptive to it if it meant they were lowering the price of Game Pass.
Yeah.
They'd be like, okay, like I get it.
Yeah, well, we're like, anyone that's spending $30 right now for Game Pass, I promise you, is not happy.
Right.
They're doing it, but they're not happy about it. If you at least decrease the price and take away some of the goodies, it turns into, I'm happy I'm not spending $30 anymore. Right. At least
the only reason I still have Game Pass is because I only pay for PC Game Pass.
Yeah,
and I think that's still $15 a month.
It's like $17.99. Okay. I want to say off the top of my head. Once again, the fact that we don't know those numbers, the fact that it's not a cold number is crazy.
Which is something that I can just forget about.
Yep.
Like I know that might be ludicrous to some people, and I know money's tight, and subscription services have just gone up and up and up in price. But like $30, if that shows up on my credit card bill or debit card bill, I'm like, oh fuck, I got to cancel this right away. $17, I'm like, I'll keep it for another month. Yeah. Maybe there's another game coming out that I want to play on Game Pass. I want to play some Master Chief Collection with the community. Like,
Replace just dropped on it. Right. Like, let's hop into that. You know, like, there's always just one extra thing that you can at least convince yourself you might play, and so you keep going and being swiping the card on that subscription. Mm-hmm. But so when it comes to the Game Pass conversation, though, do you think that we start to get answers this year, or because right now, by the way, I don't know this person. I have not met this person. I've seen very few interviews with this person, but just from the news stories that we get from the show from Asha Sharma, absolutely love this person. Because I've never seen a CEO of a company this large be leaking this amount of information to the public in such a large way. And I love that they're doing this as of right now. No better way to say we know we're fucking up than have the number one person go and say we're fucking up. At least you, as the audience, we go and like, finally they're listening. They actually know that this isn't working. So now we can come up with solutions and work from there. And I like the conversation that's currently happening with Xbox. I like that, like, before all this happened, we're heading into Xbox 25. Big year for Xbox. One of the biggest years of all time. And it's like, okay, but I don't think that this is necessarily going to work as well, even if the games are excellent. But if the games are excellent, why can't we just make them exclusive? Why can't we just go and do this whole thing we've been talking about for a long time? Now it feels like, okay, like there might be a bomb dropped on this whole situation that just changes everything.
I think the work that Asha Sharma is doing and the news that's coming out of her leadership at Xbox just goes to show how, I think, terrible the Phil Spencer era was. Just in that they had an idea for what they wanted Xbox to be, and it seems like they dug their heels in on that vision, and it was going poorly year over year over year, and the ship was sinking slowly but surely, and they were willing to just go down with the ship seemingly, and now you have a fresh face in here, and she's doing the opposite of a lot of what they were trying to do and listening to what I think the general gamer is looking for when it comes to Game Pass pricing, and it comes to exclusivity, which we're going to talk about here shortly. And at the very least, she's cracking some skulls. She's making major changes. She's seemingly understanding the mission and how dire the current position of Xbox is, because if they don't get this next generation right, they're kaput. It's
Yeah.
over. So they have to figure it out. And I think that if you're gonna go down, you should go down swinging. And I think that she is seemingly willing to do what is necessary to potentially set them up in a better position for the next generation. Though I do think Project Helix, the idea behind that console, depending on if it does have Steam on it or not, that's make or break for them, because it doesn't make any sense to have Steam on it.
I'll go the other way with it. I think that it can make sense if you have exclusives.
I mean, their exclusives come to Steam too. And why would you not buy it on Steam?
It's a good point.
It's just a better storefront.
You just need to find. You need to find ways.
The refunds aspect.
Yeah, you need to find ways to make it where Steam is kind of out of this whole system.
Yeah, I think it can be PC centric, and you can have access to certain exclusive titles that you wouldn't have if it didn't have like a PC architecture to it. But you just can't allow people to buy games on Steam, because they're going to go there and buy all their games on there, and then you're making no money off of that.
This is what Matt and I talked day one with when this got announced. It was like, how do you make the value proposition right, where it's better, because you're entering an area that right now feels vacant, being like, okay, you're the console that's also a PC. But the second the Steam Machine rolls out, it's now you're competing against the Steam Machine, and you're competing directly against PCs if you have Steam on both. And so it's a very interesting conversation.
And real quick, I do want to say that my opinion on the Steam Machine, the Project Helix, comes from the perspective of like a business front. Like it's not like, it's very consumer friendly to have Steam and the Xbox Store available. Like I think that sounds awesome for gamers in general. You can bring over your Steam library, you can have access to your Xbox games, great, but I just don't understand how Xbox makes any money off of that.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, we want Xbox to make great games, and I still want them to be in the console space, because I think that PlayStation needs somebody to push up against them eventually. And like we talk about like these small, I need this next Xbox to find a way to sell 50 million copies. Like I think that you look at the Phil Spencer direction, and that everything's an Xbox, and let's go and do this whole thing. That is a direction that ends in 7 million next consoles being sold. Like that's a direction that is unacceptable when you're trying to be a major competitor in this space. And so you need to find ways to have people buy the box, and the way that you get people to buy the box is cool new ideas, like it being this hybrid sort of system, and then also a price that's feasible. Like I really think that they should eat as much of this price as they humanly can.
For the Helix?
For Helix, yeah.
It's still going to be $1,200, which I imagine they're going to lose money on.
Let's say that it's $9.99 and the new PlayStation is $9.99. That's you're still going to lose that argument. Let's just say they go down to that $7.99 number, and it's which one is freaking NK or grandmother going to go and buy for Christmas. It's going to be the $800 one that like we still want. You need to find ways to go and have a good value proposition. I do want to go back before we get into this next headline. I think once again, this is just such a fun check-in, because the first two headlines we're talking about are Xbox focus, Game Pass, and exclusivity. Let's talk about a couple months ago, Asha Sharma steps in, and the conversation is she's laying this brand to rest. She might be the Grim Reaper of Xbox. They're bringing this person in to go and usher out this previous generation and bring them into being a publisher. I am at the point that I'm like, we had a lot of lofty hopes and dreams on that first podcast. We're like, exclusivity? Are we doing it? Are we? And the entire time it's like, no, more likely they're going to go down the wrong road. You nailed it. I think that she's swinging the bat. I think that she's ready to step up with the plate and be like, we're not going to let this thing, one, die, and two, we're going to go out swinging no matter what at this point.
Yeah, you don't want that on your resume, too.
Yeah.
You step in as the CEO and you are tasked with laying this legacy brand to rest. It's like, that doesn't look good on you. So I imagine she doesn't want to do that. Who would?
Exactly.
So I do think that there is something to that idea that she was tasked with laying the Xbox brand to rest, and I do think they could find themselves in that situation anyways, but all of this indicates to me that that's not the case.
Cood writes in on this last point about Game Pass, and they say, just like you could over on Patreon, to write in, there should be a Game Pass for throwback previous generation titles with original Game Pass membership pricing. That's it. Nothing of new current gen era. Go from Xbox One all the way back to original Xbox. Full big libraries, low cost. Get rid of the new titles of current gen. PlayStation Plus, that's like the premium tier where you're going old school. But like, if you can find a way to bring in Black Ops 2. If you can find, like, you have this vast catalog. I would love, like, if you want to sell me a $10 tier that I'm stoked to go and spend, yeah, bring back just classic games consistently.
The problem is that I think that's a niche product. If you're a gamer and you're really tuned in to the wider gaming industry and following new releases, you want to be a part of the conversation. And a big draw to Game Pass is that you can get in day and date for new releases at a low cost. So if it's just the back catalog and it's just retro titles, I think that's less tantalizing to a wide array of people because you don't get to be a part of the conversation through Game Pass. I think it would be cool, and I would like that. That's an option to play some of these older titles, but I don't think it serves the same purpose as Game Pass currently does.
Yeah, well, I think that. We're talking about a product that, though, essentially that type of conversation of getting in day and date doesn't make sense anymore. It just completely
If you want to get in day and date, buy the full price title.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that we're having the conversation, and this goes back, and I'll freaking blow the doors open on this conversation. It goes back to why I hate free to play games. Like games, like everyone expects to get in as cheap as humanly possible, and so they're so adverse to spending $70 on games. In which, once again, I think that there is a necessary value proposition happening in the industry in a lot of different ways to get games to people for cheaper prices. Shout out to indie devs. Shout out to teams like Hazelight putting out things with the friend pass and everything. But going and being like, hey, you're gonna spend $70 to $80 on the next Xbox game. Or you can spend $30 on it. Well, every consumer now just expects the Xbox titles to be $30.
Yeah, which is weird because it's not the case for PlayStation or Nintendo. Everybody expects day of release, you're spending full price on those games. If you don't want to spend full price, you wait for a sale. And that's just the way it works on all the big dogs that are doing really well right now.
Yeah.
So if Xbox wants to follow suit, I don't think that they would get too much pushback because that's the expectation across the board for everybody else.
And that's going to only come from great games, which brings us to headline number 2. Headline: Xbox is reportedly having, quote, very big discussions, end quote, about exclusivity. This is Liam Doolin over at Nintendo Life. Quote, since Asha Sharma took over Phil Spencer's role as Microsoft Gaming's CEO, there have been multiple reports about Xbox returning to exclusives and how it could potentially impact future releases on other platforms, including Switch 2. As highlighted by our colleagues at Pure Xbox, Windows Central executive editor and reporter Jez Gordon has chimed in once again, claiming that there are currently, quote, very big discussions, end quote, taking place internally at Microsoft about exclusive. The quote goes like this. There are very, very, very big discussions about exclusivity stuff going on right now. They do recognize the value. It's just about what kind of company do you want to be at the end of the day? Do you want to be an ecosystem company first, or do you want to be a publishing company first? End quote. Following the acquisition of multiple third-party companies in recent years, the Xbox brand has focused on making games more accessible than ever. This has led to Microsoft bringing Xbox IP such as Forza Horizon to PlayStation, and its most iconic series, Halo, is also on the way. While earlier reports suggest this shift in strategy has been a rather profitable venture for Microsoft, fans have also expressed concerns about its damage to the brand's identity. And without exclusive, its next generation system, codenamed Project Helix, could arguably be a tough sell. End quote. They're listening. At least they're having the conversation.
Yep. I mean, when we talked about Asha Sharma stepping in, this was a big point for us that if they're going to right the ship, I think exclusivity needs to make a big comeback for them. And I understand why they're putting their games on PlayStation. They need to make the money back from the ABK deal, $69 million, or billion dollars rather.
Nice.
So they need to make money now. And if they end up pulling back on their first-party games on PlayStation and Nintendo or wherever, and putting them back exclusively on Xbox, it's going to hurt for a while.
Yep.
They're going to make less money, but in the long run, if they want Xbox to still exist and want it to be a healthy ecosystem, they need exclusives to sell the box to the hardcore gamer. They need games like Fable to be fantastic. They need something like Elder Scrolls 6 to ascend to the level of Elder Scrolls 5, this mainstream cultural moment that stays in the zeitgeist for years and years, and is well beloved by just about everybody. And if they put games out at that caliber, I do think it will move the needle. I have bought entire consoles for one video game. Like, I bought an Xbox to play Titanfall. And this is the case for all of gaming history. Like, of course, there's people who just buy PS5 just to play COD and Madden and Fortnite, but your hardcore base, which is what you build your brand on top of and is the core of a healthy ecosystem, is driven by these exclusives.
Yep.
Like, I love PlayStation for PlayStation games, and PlayStation games mean something, and Xbox games used to mean something during the 360 era with Gears and Halo and Forza and Fable. And now it means nothing because they've lost their identity, because they put these games out everywhere, and the games aren't up to par in comparison to their competitors at Nintendo and PlayStation.
I'm bringing in Jeffrey M, who's talking a bit about this. I just want to get this right in now. Coming from a player who used to only buy Xbox until 2025 when I bought a PS5, first PlayStation since PS2, they write in and say, the difference between the two companies is astronomical. The quality of games in general feel is incredibly significant. I don't think Xbox will succeed if they go down the exclusive route because they haven't given the fan base enough trust and good faith that they care about the people that use their products. Increasingly, the Game Pass subscription to $30 a month was the final straw for me. It shows greed and disrespect to the player base. Like you were saying to the last podcast, you're proud of Co-op 64 because you're doing your thing the right way. At this point, Xbox doesn't deserve to be one of the big console companies. I disagree with some of this sentiment here. I think that they completely deserve to be part of the this ecosystem still. Also, I think that right now, you talk about the last straw being this $30 Game Pass. That's the case for many consumers. I don't think that they lost a hardcore fan base, though. The people that still bought an Xbox Series X, I think that they're still in on Project Helix.
Yeah.
I do.
If you stuck with them after the Xbox One generation, you're probably in for life. Yeah.
But I do think, though, what's something I do agree with, and Connor and I talk about this pretty often, is the difference between the quality of these games.
Yeah.
Or vast.
And it makes sense. Like, if you work at a PlayStation first party studio, you know you're working with some of the best teams in the business, and you're going to make a game that's very likely going to be extremely successful.
Game of the Year nominated.
And is going to make a lot of money. You have a lot of job security. If you're working at an Xbox studio right now, you're probably quaking in your boots, worried about being laid off. They had mass layoffs over the last few years. PlayStation has had layoffs as well, but to a lesser extent. And right now, if you're a free agent developer and you're extremely talented, where are you going to go? You're going to go to Xbox with the potential to lose your job, or you're going to go to a PlayStation studio when you have more security.
And more security and
more budget and more time.
Pedigree. Let real quick. Since 2014, Game of the Year, we know that this graphic is a little bit wrong because Psychonauts 2 exists. Anyways, but for PlayStation, Bloodborne, Uncharted 4, Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, Spider-Man, Death Stranding 2, The Last of Us Part 2, Ghosts, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. You have God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Spider-Man 2. In 2024, it was Astrobot. Last year, you had Death Stranding 2 get nominated for the PlayStation exclusive title. If you want to bring in also paired exclusivity, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Like, we're talking about... let's actually remove Death Stranding and Rebirth from the conversation real quick. You're talking about, I don't know, a dozen games on the pedigree side, and PlayStation and Xbox hasn't shown that. It all begins and ends with great games.
Right. And the core of that point, though, is just that I don't think it's any mystery as to why Xbox games aren't at the standard for what PlayStation has. It's because PlayStation courts all the best developers in the business. And that's not to say that the Xbox studios aren't talented. Like, I love some of these games. I think they're great, but like, they are just not nearly at the same caliber of The Last of Us or God of War. And I think they need to figure out a solution to that, whether that be giving these teams more time or more budget or whatever. Like, they need to find a way to make something on the level of the best at PlayStation. And I think they could be doing that with Fable, and I hope that they're doing that with Elder Scrolls 6. I feel like Elder Scrolls 6 is like the biggest game in Xbox history.
Yep.
If it's exclusive and it is on the level of Skyrim, that will change the company forever. And if that game is on the level of Starfield, it's kaput. It's over.
Yeah.
And if it releases on other platforms day and date, I think that might be an issue as well. And I would expect that at this point, knowing what we know over the last few years of Xbox and their strategy, and we'll see if it sticks, I would expect it to come to PlayStation on day one. Just Bethesda games, legacy games that have a history on PlayStation have still come over on day one. But I would, if they are all in on this, Elder Scrolls 6 exclusive, Xbox, Project Helix or whatever, I think that could be huge for them.
I want to bring in the fact that you brought in Fable and the talent of certain dev teams and everything. That's why I have faith in Fable. Playground Games doesn't fuck around. They are the best developer over at Xbox. I have full faith in saying that. Like this is, you hope that they're able. I don't know if there's maybe 3 or 4 dev teams on the planet that can hit a home run the way that a Naughty Dog can over on the PlayStation side. Can you make something on the level that something that Sony Santa Monica does, though? Can you find a way to make an Insomniac game in 89? Like, give me something that we all look at in right now. Fucking Resident Evil Requiem is at an 89 on Metacritic. I think that across the board, every single person looks at that game and to different levels calls it extremely high quality.
Yeah.
An 89, you're not hitting the 9s out of 10s. But if Fable comes out and is an 89, and for multiple people, it's their game of the year, and it's doing the whole conversation thing, they're back.
I think Fable has the potential to be game of the generation for a lot of people.
I rewatched that gameplay now many times over, and I'm like, I then see things like the Witcher gameplay, and I'm like, this just looks like better Witcher gameplay, like in a large way. And then when you are talking about these choices and the different avenues you're going to be able to go down, by the way, not saying that this game is going to be better than The Witcher 3, relax. But it could be, exactly. We're talking about something that really could define not just what Xbox is, but who Playground is. And then also, by having Playground, you then get to have Xbox going and hoisting up this brand, being like, we have Playground. We have a team that is going to develop 3 to 4 games a generation that are going to hit 90s on Metacritic and run it that way.
I do think that Fable is a step down in notoriety in comparison to Elder Scrolls. I think that you can start to right the ship with Fable and change the narrative and reclaim it, but I think the big dog is going to be Elder Scrolls 6, and I hope that comes out next year.
I want to talk about the timeline of this a little bit, because I think that this is the most important aspect. Fable comes out, and if it's a banger and all these things, that slightly changes the conversation. I think right now, as soon as possible, you need to start the healing process, which means you need to start eating shit right now. Game Pass, find a way to get it to be 2 to 3 tiers, have it make sense. 10, 20, 10, 15, 20 bucks, some sort of organization that maybe have $25, but not Call of Duty and everything else. I don't know. But find a way to make this accessible once again. That's step 1 of the process. Step 2, you have to have the games. The most important step, you have to have the games. No one's going to give a shit about the exclusives if they don't have the games. What is an Xbox exclusive in this next generation of exclusivity for Xbox? It needs to be our exclusives or half step down from PlayStation's.
They have to be on equal footing.
I would say if you can pull off 89s consistently in games that are at least getting nominated for Game of the Year.
I don't think they're really in a position to be putting out 89s and having that change much of anything. I think they need all-time greats, 92, 95.
Yeah.
A 97. Like, if Elder Scrolls 6 is a 97 and it's exclusive to the new console, like, that'll change everything. I really believe that.
Do you think that let's play the number game then? Like, does a 94 change everything for them? Yeah,
change everything. I don't know, but like, I'm talking about a game that is it's impossible to ignore. Well, I think like for everybody, not just the hardcore, but for the mainstream gamer.
I think 94 is the magical number. That is God of War. That is The Last of Us. That is these all-time games. If you're able to press into that, that is cough cough. Hades 2 sure won a game of the year last year. Played a little bit more Hades 2 on that airplane. Oh my God, what a game. Anyways, they need to have those type of games and take these swings where it is. Hell yeah, we're doing this like. And have it make sense, but it really starts there. But I want to bring this whole conversation back to you need to eat shit now so you can get to Project Helix and Elder Scrolls 6 that's exclusive, and how people start to understand the conversation and the steps are already like going in the right direction. Because you can't like Hail Mary a Project Helix Xbox, we're doing the whole thing there. It's like, well, I don't necessarily trust that the games after Elder Scroll is going to do what I need it to do. But if you're able to go and be like, okay, like I've enjoyed some of these Xbox games. I'm over on my PC. I'm over on my ROG Ally. I'm over doing these things, and I'm having a good time with these games. This one's exclusive. Then I'm willing to take the plunge. You need to find a way to get people back in before you do the all-out media blitz. We're doing the new console. We're doing a couple exclusives alongside it.
And they could do both potentially. They could have exclusivity for a year or two for these games and then bring them to Switch 2 and PlayStation later down the line. I do think that would be effective. Not as effective as a straight up exclusive, but I think that they could sell consoles on the first day of release of these major titles and then get a double dip by releasing them on the other platforms at a later date.
If you want to start like the healing process and do it in such a way that's not as painful, I completely agree. This summer, I don't think that they're going to be able to step on stage because you want to keep it about the games. You want to keep that the main.
I think that the games that they currently have announced and slated and dated, or at least have like a season attached to them, like Fable being autumn, which is apparently getting pushed probably. But for those games, I think that they're locked in with releasing on other platforms. I feel like it's too late for them to pull that back. They've already put in so much money to develop them for these other consoles that I worry that they're like, we've sunk too much money into this. We have to just stay the course and get these games out, and then we can make the adjustments for future games.
I disagree slightly. I think that they will still come out. I think that you can go and right the ship and say, like, hey, let's do 6 months of timed exclusivity. They're already doing that with Forza. Like, so if you can get out in front of it and be like, hey, these games are coming to PlayStation, we still want that, but we want to protect our brand. Xbox, like, don't even like do it in a weak way. Come out and say Xbox players get this first, and have there be some sort of cachet to it where it's like, okay, like I'm in, like I want to do this and utilize this. Oh man, so much fun, and the show is just begun. Cause headline: Bloodborne, R-rated anime movie in development with Jacksepticeye producing. This is Jim Vedvoda over at IGN. Quote, Sony Pictures announced at CinemaCon on Monday that are making an R-rated animated feature film based on the video game Bloodborne. With no details on the movie's plot were revealed. It is expected that it will follow a hunter battling beasts in the city of Yharnam. There were no announcements on the film's director, screenwriter, voice cast, or release date. The Bloodborne movie is produced by PlayStation Productions, Lyrical Animation, and YouTuber and gamer Sean McLaughlin, aka Jacksepticeye. Lyrical Media is co-financing the Bloodborne movie with Sony Pictures. End quote. Connor, does this movie ever come out?
Yes.
Okay. I want to start there because it feels like a lot of these productions, you know, they get stewing, especially in the gaming space, and then they never release. You're always against all these adaptations, but it's Bloodborne, Connor. It's animated. You got a producer that actually gives a shit about the property. Mm-hmm. Is this at least a little bit exciting for you?
Yeah, it's the fact that it's animated that's really selling me on it. If you're going to do a video game adaptation in TV or movies, animated is the best way to go because you run into all kinds of issues when you do live action because these worlds are so fantastical and otherworldly in many instances that you have to rely on CGI and like a lot of these shows are using the volume nowadays. You know what this is? Like
I've heard about
it's
it,
like a set with like a bunch of screens and it looks really uncanny and weird to realize these worlds. And I think it ends up making for a worse product because of that. When you do animation, you can capture the same essence and the size of some of these monsters and realize them in a cool art style and still maintain a lot of the quality that you get from the games in anime or animation. So that's cool. I'm all about that, especially with the world of Bloodborne and Yharnam. I feel like anime or animation. Do we know, is this going to be in an anime art style?
I don't know. I think that we just know it's animated.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be really cool, and I wonder where they go when it comes to art direction. I like Jacksepticeye. I've seen like clips with him from like his streams and stuff. I've never been like a fan though. I don't know much about him, but he seems like a cool dude, and I imagine he's a big Bloodborne fan if he's producing this. And it's good to have a gamer in a lead role. That's always seemingly very important for these adaptations because when you get a non-gamer, somebody who doesn't appreciate or love the source material, it usually goes poorly. So that's comforting for sure. I wonder what FromSoft's role is in this.
I mean,
if any?
This opens up a whole can of worms. Real quick, I want to bring Chipmunk in because I have so many questions for you with this. Chipmunk writes, I'm cautiously hopeful for the Bloodborne movie adaptation. Jacksepticeye is a huge Bloodborne fan, so I believe he can help match the vibes the game gives, but a lot of what makes the game great is exploration and watching this world change as you continue to see the true horrors of the world. That seems hard to capture when you aren't experiencing and exploring yourself.
Yeah, I don't know what the story's going to be here.
I really do think that you can sort of hero's journey it.
Yeah.
And like, it'd be like, you wake up, you're in a weird spot, you walk out, like you are in the dreamscape, you enter this world, you like have the opening the vault moment of a Fallout. You were entered into Yharnam. There's a giant fight, and then just stylize the shit out of these fights. Like,
is
make
it just going to be a
fights
string
look
of fights then?
I think you're gonna do fights and then also conversations and have it be lean into what Bloodborne does well when it comes to the storytelling. Have it be ambiguous. Have it be twists and turns that you don't really expect. Introduce a very tight cast, basically. Like, I think that you can get away with literally like 4 characters,
Right?
And like
the hunter, the doll.
Yep.
The guy in the wheelchair.
Yep.
I forget his name. Just to get this out there, Bloodborne, one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah.
Absolutely adore it. Couldn't tell you jack shit about the story.
I could tell you a couple things, but like I don't want to go into
watched like
spoilers.
the million lore videos that there are online. Like I don't really play these games for that, but I know that people really do love that. So I'm sure more knowledgeable people would be able to speak to what they think the story is going to be.
But even then, I think that you don't want to lean in on the Bloodborne story because even though it's cool, I don't think that that's what this does well.
Yeah.
I think that you want these fight sequences to be the thing that really captures the audience.
I want this to be a vibes movie.
Yeah.
Because Bloodborne has such an
let the
incredible atmosphere
stoner
and vibe.
community get super stoked on this one. Release this
Right.
on 420 in like 3 years, dude. Like, let it be a fun vibe for the people that are gamer fans and then want to go and see something cool. A tight hour 20. Like,
Right.
get me in and out of there with a bucket of popcorn. Let me see some cool shit. Think about some things. Like, there are certain decision-based type stuff. There are certain world-changing events that I like. If you can do that in a spectacle type of way, I think this movie could be cool.
I want the main character to have the amount of lines that like a Master Chief has.
Yeah.
He should be almost silent.
Yep.
But I feel like that doesn't work for movies for the most part. Like I think Link's going to talk in the Legend of Zelda movie, which is going to be really
nuts.
weird. But for this movie, I think it would be cool if he just had a few lines, a few interactions with the different characters. But the most part, he's like this really stoic, badass, aloof character, which is kind of how I perceive the hunter in Bloodborne. Are you moving on?
No. I just want to go. And see what the
because
next news story
we got a lot to dig into here because
what does this mean for
what
Bloodborne?
does this mean for Bloodborne? There's rumors going around right now that Nix's is working on an original game or a remake / remaster of a game that Blue Point pitched.
Yep.
Which
It's probably
it's got to be
Bloodborne.
Bloodborne. And the reason I think that this was approved and the Blue Point remake was not is that I think that Nix's is probably doing a direct port.
Yep.
With just a few bells and whistles, better frame rate, smoother textures, whatever, 4K. And that's acceptable to From Software. They're not fucking with their baby. You know what I mean? Like they're not messing with one of Miyazaki's favorite IPs.
His favorite. It's his favorite, I'm pretty sure.
So, like, I think that that's sacred to them. They don't want anybody messing with it. That's why Blue Points got denied, and that's why I think Nix's is probably who is well suited to do this because that's their bread and butter.
Yep.
They do ports. They've done the ports for PC for Spider-Man and God of War and Horizon. That has been their role. Obviously now they're moving away from PC ports. They're probably still going to handle the multiplayer side of things, but they need something to keep them busy. I hope PlayStation doesn't shut them down. So I think this is a good middle ground for them to still have value to the PlayStation brand if they're willing to do these ports. And if it's Bloodborne, fantastic. And then you got the movie, you got the port, Bloodborne 2. I think it's in the cards, dude. I think it's possible. We've seen From Software get into bed with Bandai Namco for the better part of a decade now. With Elden Ring, Night Rain, they did Sekiro with Activision. It was Bandai Namco. I imagine it was 2 and 3 as well for Dark Souls. But now they're working with Nintendo for the Duskblood, so clearly they're willing to go outside of that relationship and work with other major studios. They're making an exclusive for Switch 2, which is weird, but
Awesome.
it's clear to me that they're willing to work with just about anybody who throws a bag at them.
I was about to say they are just cashing checks
so
right
I hope with PlayStation's like whole synergy strategy with movies and TV and games, they are looking at this and laying the groundwork to have Bloodborne come back in a major way. And I think to do that, you have the movie, you have the remaster, the port to PC and PS5 or 6 by the time it comes out, maybe. And then you make Bloodborne 2 by throwing Miyazaki and From Software a whole lot of money. Because I do think it would sell really well.
Yeah.
Like, people don't understand that, like, Bloodborne and Dark Souls 1 and Demon Souls, like, these weren't smash hits. They didn't make a ton of money. Like,
dude, Elden Ring everything.
It was a huge inflection point for them. Like, that thing sold like 25 million copies, and it's probably still climbing. Like, for Bloodborne, I don't have the numbers in front of me. If you want to look it up,
Sure.
if I'm going to guess, 5 million copies.
That's the number. I maybe up to 6 nowadays.
Which is a drop in the bucket for PlayStation nowadays. Like, and if you compare it to like major live service games, it's nothing.
Bloodborne sold 9.3 million as of late 2025.
Okay.
That's a quick AI produced overview.
And I imagine that took a while to hit that point, though.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
Software,
10 years.
Like, yeah, I imagine a lot of people played Elden Ring and then went
The
back.
launch of Elden Ring was also an influx for the new Bloodborne players. Is part of this analytics
that makes
article.
sense. So, yeah, I hope that Bloodborne, I feel like, has permeated throughout the mainstream at this point. Like, everybody knows the legendary status of Bloodborne. I feel like it's setting itself up nicely to make a return, and they can capitalize on this movie, and hopefully we get more Bloodborne in the future.
Yeah, I think that it's actually a really obvious move, mainly for PlayStation, because I talked about it, 2030 predictions, I think PlayStation desperately wants to change up their core IP. What do you expect from PlayStation? Still have the quality, but not just only be relying on sequels to Spider-Man and Death Stranding and Horizon.
We're
and
talking
God
about
of
a
War.
sequel to Bloodborne.
Yeah, Connor will get there. With that being said, let your first party go and change up a lot of the things, especially your high res first party. Let you not make another Kratos game. Let's do something different with Intergalactic from Naughty Dog. And then while we're doing that, let's make sure to still serve the fans that are looking for the IP that they know and love. And this is a great way to go and do it. Hey, let's have this game get ported just so we can make probably like 4 million. Is it like, I would be shocked if this thing sells hotcakes for a remastered version of this, especially if it goes to PC. And then you go and include the bag that we toss at Miyazaki and the team. I think that they do this game with Nintendo. I think that they then do one solo dolo project in between there. And then I think that there would be the doors open again for Bloodborne 2. And I think at that point, Miyazaki, 15 years removed from his favorite IP, he might be missing his ex a little bit and want to give them a late night call and make this thing happen. So I'm with you on this. I think that, like, yeah, you want to know what PlayStation also is not going to do? Let a Fallout situation happen. They're going for synergy, baby. They want another. I think that this happens with the sole mindset that they are already working up the paperwork to make sure that Bloodborne Remastered is being created, and then Bloodborne 2, at least the door's open. And I think that the door is open because the reason that they didn't want Bluepoint to work on this, even though they didn't need Miyazaki's blessing, was they want to work with Miyazaki down the line for Bloodborne 2. And I wouldn't even be shocked if he went and some of the conversations were, hey, we want Bluepoint to work on this. And he goes, no. And they're like, well, we might do it ourselves. And then he's like, if you want a Bloodborne 2, hold off and we can make a deal happen.
That's the only way it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's like, what adverse effect would it have on them to go behind Miyazaki's back? Like, they own the IP. They can do whatever they want with it. And it's not like FromSoft is going to stop putting their games on PlayStation. Yeah. So fuck it.
The only reason is you want a good working relationship where you can have Miyazaki directed pop up when you announce this at a state of play. Right. Like, that would be an all-time video game moment, and it is
a
totally
Game Awards
possible.
announcement for sure.
Yeah, that thing closes the Game Awards. Yeah. I think that you could fucking open the Game Awards with a Bloodborne Remastered at this point, which is insane. I talk about it all the time. I still think people need to chill with it. Like, if Bloodborne Remastered came out, Connor, I would not play it again. I would not be there day one.
You're out of your mind.
I played it so recently.
As long as it has a separate trophy list.
Well,
Platinuming it again.
Sure, that's fine. But like, if it is just we're doing 60 frames, we're doing a little bit of a better texture thing. For me, that was very much The Last of Us Part 1. I didn't replay The Last of Us Part 1 when it came out.
Oh, I did. Multiple times.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great game. But I literally just like booted up the remastered right when it got announced, played it then, and then like a couple years down the line, when I played with my buddy Jake, we just played the remastered version. Didn't want to spend the $50 in college. So very interesting though. Let me know in the comments below if you want this Bloodborne remastered sequel. Where is your theory crafting at this point? Headline: Next God of War features multiple mythologies. This is from Tom Phillips over at IGN. This is a report. Quote: History buffs can reportedly look forward to multiple mythologies appearing in the next God of War from Sony Santa Monica. The unannounced game will feature elements from various mythologies rather than solely focusing on a single setting, such as the Greek and Norse sagas seen previously. That's according to a new report by MP First, which specifically mentions Chinese and Japanese elements being in development. The same report also references online scuttlebutt over Mayan elements too, though does not go on to verify this particular claim. Still, it sounds like there's plenty going on in the next chapter of the God of War universe, which Sony is expected to unveil in the near future. Last month, notorious game leaker Nate the Hate claimed that the game would center on the character Faye, Kratos' deceased wife, played by Daredevil's Deborah Ann Woll in God of War Ragnarok. IGN also understands this to be accurate. The leaker claimed that Sony's current plans to unveil the game unveil the game later this year, ahead of a launch in 2027. End quote. I don't think we've ever talked about the Faye game officially on this. Have we?
I think I've lamented the fact that Sony Santa Monica is only making God of War games still.
At
some point.
I think that was mainly for the God of War trilogy when that happened, though. Like, announced. I don't know if we've talked, and I could totally be wrong, by the way. But with that being said, are you excited about this project? Like, where are you at with the Faye project, especially now we're going multiple mythologies?
Yes, I'm excited about it because it's a Sony Santa Monica game, and I do love the God of War games almost across the board.
Yeah.
Like, I like God of War 1. I love Chains of Olympus, which is Ready at Dawn. So, but still, it's the God of War IP. God of War 3, my first M-rated game. Loved that. God of War 2018 and Ragnarok. I think I'm lower on Ragnarok than most people, but 2018 all-timer for sure. So yeah, I'm excited for more God of War. I'm just a little bit tired of this IP being as prevalent as it is, but I'm not gonna say no to it. Like I'm gonna be there day one, and I'll probably enjoy the hell out of it. And I imagine that it is going to be incredible and have a really high level of quality because that's what Sony Santa Monica does. And adding in new mythologies aspect of it, cool. Like I like Greek mythology and Norse mythology. I think it sets up some cool scenarios, and it introduces some really interesting characters with the different gods and the Greek pantheon and the Norse pantheon. So then you get the Egyptian pantheon in here. You get others.
Mayan, Japanese, Chinese.
So that'll be really cool, I imagine. And I wonder how they're going to tie all of these different players in, because that's going to be a lot of different gods. And I do wonder if this is going to help set up the next Kratos God of War.
Yeah.
You get introduced to some of these characters that are in these different mythologies. There's rumors of Kratos going to Egypt in the next one. So you get your first impressions of these characters here, and you get a whole smorgasbord of different mythologies. But at least you're familiarized with the Egyptian pantheon here, and then in the next one you get to go deeper with these characters. So I think it has a good level of synergy and tie-ins to future potential titles.
I got the pitch for you, Connor. You know how in God of War you go to, in the new series, in the Norse series, you go to the 8 different realms and you're bouncing around? Mm-hmm. I think that it's the 8 different mythologies or something along those lines, where you're literally just bouncing around mythology to mythology, different level design within those mythologies, doing the whole thing there. I am stoked for this. I actually think that this is like one of the best ideas that Sony's had in a long time. Hey, yeah, I'm tired of God of War a little bit too. I could take a little bit of time on ice away from our good pal Kratos, but you got to assume this is the Barlog game.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking a new character. We're talking different gameplay mechanics for sure. We're talking still working within mythologies and stuff like that. But the writing design of Corey, I also think it's going to be highly interesting to see him write potentially where this character doesn't have a companion. Like, I'm so curious to see what a single. We're just sticking with this one character for your main deal here the entire way through, how that all works.
Yeah, but we are going to see some familiar faces.
For sure. You're going to see Kratos.
Well, there's also rumors that Tyr plays a big part in this.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that there is ways to go and handle that the right way and have these fun little cameos. But like I really hope that 85% of this feels so fucking new, so different. Yeah. But then you still get to attach the God of War name to it. You still get to attach the Sony Santa Monica name to it. You still get to attach 2018 from the writer of 2018 Game of the Year to this whole thing. But it's different enough that I'm going to be like, I'm very curious to, at the end of this, go, or am I more excited for the next Kratos game, or am I more excited for the next Faye game? And that's the like question that I think is really interesting. It reminds me of like post Last of Us 1. It's like, is the next game going to be an Ellie game? Is the next game going to be a Joel game? Like, where are we going with this? I like that they can sort of like splinter off in this way at this point and really do whatever the heck they want.
It's a good middle ground. It's a safe bet for them. Doing a new IP is quite risky. Yep. Big publishers and investors want something that they are sure they're going to see a return on investment on. Sequels always seem to do well. So this isn't technically a sequel, but it's in the same universe as a beloved IP. So you get to utilize that to push this new game, this new thing. And I think that it will be great. And I think it'll sell very well. And I get why people are excited for it. I am also excited for it, to be clear. But
yeah, if we get this the same year as Intergalactic, dude, next year, are you kidding me, dude?
I mean, PlayStation always does their best work towards the end of the generation. So this makes sense that we're going to get both the highest quality games at the end of the PS5.
It wouldn't shock me one bit. Headline: Metro 2039 revealed as the post-apocalyptic shooter series returns. This is John Block over at the PlayStation blog. Quote, on behalf of 4A Games and Deep Silver, we're excited to reveal Metro 2039, the fourth mainline entry in the iconic series of post-apocalyptic first-person shooters. Today, we're showing off a first look at the game, its story and gameplay, and in an extended video presentation. Set 6 years after the original game and written in collaboration with Metro author Dmitry Goglovsky, this new entry builds on our vast experience creating handcrafted, story-driven single-player campaigns with a catastrophic atmosphere of tense psychological horror. Moving a bit further into the article, we can't wait to show you more of what we've been working on as we head towards the release this winter. Karn, did you see all this business with Metro 2039?
I saw like the cinematic trailer.
Yeah, same.
I didn't see the gameplay.
I didn't go and dive too deep into this. Are you excited about this?
So I played Metro Awakening in PSVR 2 last year, the end of last year into this year, and I enjoyed it. I really like this world. The setup is fascinating. This apocalypse happens and everybody moves into the metro to survive, and the dynamics that come from that, and like the radiated creatures that are mutated and they have to deal with them is like a core of the a big piece of the conflict. So that's all interesting and cool, and I would like to get into this franchise. But when people say they love Metro, they're not pointing to Awakening. They're pointing to Last Light and 2033 and Exodus are
was another one.
The mainline ones. So I feel like I can't be that excited for this just because I feel like I have to do my homework first.
Yep.
And I would like to. I've always been interested in diving deeper into this franchise because I know it has some really hardcore fans. Shout out to Grande Poe. Somebody else, Uptown Crayon, I think, in our Discord. They're the 1 and 2 for the hardcore Metro fans in our community. So they talk about it a lot. They're getting me hyped up to finally make the plunge. I think this trailer was awesome. A really good tone piece for a game that I think is going to be really eerie, really disturbing. This trailer was leaning into those horror vibes, and I don't know, there was definitely some horror stuff in Awakening, but I don't know how deep they go in the other titles. But I think that this is going all in on the survival horror front, and we'll see how that melds with the general world of Metro. So I think it looks really cool, and I think this studio has kind of built up a good catalog and a lot of goodwill with their fan base, and it seems like they always deliver.
Yeah.
Even Exodus, which I think has a bit of mixed reviews from hardcore fans, I think people still, generally speaking, like that game quite a bit. So
yeah, I'm excited about this one. I'll toss this in there. One, Metro Exodus 82 on Metacritic. Like, that's not a bad game by any means. When it says this winter, you better come out in February, dude. Get out the blast zone of of GTA as much as humanly possible. Don't come out in December when you're doing a winter release. Maybe January is also fine to release
January
it there.
would be great for a game like this.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time. The survival horror, doing the Dead Space time period for that remake was like perfect for that game. But yeah, no, I'm interested in this one. I'm not all in on this one. As I say all the time, I'm not a horror game fan. Like, I don't like playing these games often unless they're some of the best games out there. That's why I like hopping into the Resident Evil series. That's why Alan Wake 2 captured my eye when you're like, dude, you gotta do it. Silent Hill 2 remake, come on. Like, I like stepping into those. With that being said, this could be a great first entry point for me into this series, I think, and do it that way.
The furthest in the timeline. It's not like Gears of War E-Day where you can just hop in and not know anything about the rest of the games. This seems to be a continuation.
Is it a continuation of the story, do you think? Like,
I imagine it's a continuation of the overall story, the overall plot and world of Metro. So I think that playing the previous games would likely be pretty essential, but you can correct me if I'm wrong on that.
I'm very curious. Someone to hop in the comments and be like, how important is the Metro story? Because I have a feeling, like, I don't know who John Metro is.
People love the story.
I think that they love the world, though, is what I've heard about
it.
They
come from the books, which apparently the books are fantastic as well.
Interesting.
And the writer of the books is the writer of the games, too.
I believe his name's
I think he writes all of them. He wrote Awakening, too, which is weird that he wrote, like, the spin-off VR title as well. So it seems like they have a really great through line with this one individual who is at the center of this world.
Yep, I'm excited though. It feels like this could be like one of the first dominoes to drop when it comes to what's happening this winter. We talk about all the time of like, okay, like these dates are starting to fill in. Like Tom Henderson, the July 9th date for AC Black Flag. Like, is that true? Probably. It seems like he wouldn't report on it otherwise. But like, we're starting to fill in those summer dates now. What's happening in winter? What's happening beyond September outside of GTA?
It's just GTA.
How many games realistically are coming out in October? My answer is all of them, by the way. Every game ever.
I think that
100%.
Well, since GTA is at the end of November, I guess October's largely
I think October's fair game.
But you start getting closer to November, I feel like people are going to be wanting to save their money for GTA
for sure.
6.
I think that your cutoff date is probably a month off. If you're Fable, I think you can get away with like an October 22nd sort of deal.
That game's coming out late December.
I don't think that Xbox can put out Fable and have it not be in the cutoff for the game of the year conversation and put it out this year. I think that you can't do what they did with Indiana Jones.
I just hate the narrative that Xbox always pushes their games and they solidify this idea year after year.
Yeah.
You have to take everything they say with a grain of salt.
Yeah, well, a large part of me thinks that they can't. I mean, did you see the social media posts? They're like, it's still on in 2026. Like they're trying to still push it as much as they can. I think for sure right now they are doing whatever they can to make sure this game comes out this year.
Yeah.
I think that they're making sure it comes out before the Game of the Year timeline. Like if you want to change the conversation and this is their one, you cannot screw up the optics of it. And I do think that means delaying it is a bad thing. Putting it out in that December timeframe when people are still playing GTA and people are still it's post game of the year, and also it's the holiday break.
Yeah.
Like I don't think
and
you
you're
can
not
do
getting that Christmas hit if you put it out on the 17th.
Yeah,
most people have
even if you do it
done.
December 4th or something like that, what they do with Indiana Jones, I think that the Indiana Jones date is one of the worst dates I've seen for a video game in a long time.
People are just busy during the month of December.
December is a great time to release a 7 out of 10 type of game.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you want something to play around the holidays, play this one on the go, play it on your Steam Deck, play it on your Switch.
So it sucks that they're going to push another game, but I do think that they could get away with putting it out in February and it still being on their fiscal year or whatever, because it's March to April. Right?
Yeah, March 31st is when fiscals end for a lot of people. Last question on this one: when's the next time we see Metro?
The next time?
Yeah, well, like, are we gonna get to Summer Game Fest, or do you think September state of play time frame is when we see it next, or Game Awards and they
I feel
release
like
it?
SGF is too close.
Same.
but you could go like the Capcom Onimusha route where you show the game off once and then you're just showing it all the
All
time.
the fucking time. Yeah.
I don't know. We haven't seen Onimusha in a while though.
I think that's just we're going to see that as state of play.
Yeah.
Pragmata is out today now. Like I think that they were like, okay, we got 2 of our fires going at once. Like let's do Onimusha if it is August. Let's just wait for Summer Game Fest and run it that way. And make sure that like people can get excited. Like Capcom's on a run like no other
Go
right
play
now.
Pragmata.
So good, dude.
If you haven't picked it up yet.
Do you think Pragmata top 10 for Co-op 64?
Yeah.
Okay, I think that it slides in at like 9 or 10, but yeah, I think that it'll for sure be on there.
I agree.
All right. Thank you so much to the amazing members over on patreon.com/Co-op64 that support this show. You can get this show 3 days early, all that good stuff. But the people at the highest tier get their name read at the end of each and every podcast we do here, including amazing members like My Name is Dom,
Schmung Dingle,
the Scooby-Doo running sound,
Brew Talc,
Tyler,
Chad Chaddington III,
Roland K,
Funny Hooligan,
Bodie,
Awesome O,
G-Town,
Humunga Dunga,
Night Echoes,
Skull Sunderer,
Caleb Beef,
Sound Hills X,
Cash R,
Jakey P,
Pitch of Power,
Tyler,
Sir Shellis,
Raincoat,
Choozar,
MG Dunbar,
Mr. Munchies,
Malcolm the Dog,
Farmer Spud,
Rocket Tater,
Nofi,
The Dankest Mike,
Swampy Bits,
Tristan C,
Sconzy C,
Killer Cheese,
Aloha Alley,
Scooterman,
Centuro,
Hook'em Horns,
Go Nash,
Neutral Sphere,
Eli the Unusual,
The Neutron Style,
Easton C,
Kingdom Hearts Rules,
Dooby Dooby Dooba,
Crispy,
DJ Zach P,
Uli,
Jacob D,
Big Mac,
Melnate,
The Patty Cake,
Cowboy Jesus,
Mega,
Yogi,
Damn,
Holden M,
Brock,
Voodoo,
Milky Sins,
Reggie Ranks,
Alex the Golden,
Andrew H,
Master Diz,
Cannon Fodder Games,
Only One Rufus,
J Matt B3,
Ali Benali.
and Kingdom Hearts Sucks. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Casual Gaming News Conversation. We will see you in the next one. Peace out.